Don't worry, don't panic. I've got you covered. Your Assassin's Creed Unity dealer has been delivered a new batch of freshly ground dick-hardening content. And it's not just a normal batch either. There's a lot to unpack in this one. So after assassinating the King of Beggars, we went to see Hairy Chest Boy, who was giving me some serious Bill Cosby vibes. Roofing these women or not was up for debate, but what wasn't up for debate was whether or not he had useful information. He had what looked like a small pin or pendant which looks identical to the one that was used to kill Monsieur de la Serre, and apparently there was only one silversmith who he knew that could craft something like this. And him calling it a silversmith made me realise how much we've moved forward as a society. I mean, they were so racist back then that they called blacksmiths silversmiths. So we got the silversmith's name, and it was now time to see what he knew about Monsieur de la Serre's murder and who he crafted this weapon for. So to save some time, I fast travelled to my mission objective to go and see him, and this was when I misjudged something harder than that time when a girl said, "George, please have sex with me." And I was like, okay, so I bent over and gaped open my butthole, but she ran out of the basement screaming and crying because apparently that's not how men and women have sex. Like, at the age of 20, I should know something like that. I don't watch porn because that wouldn't be very Christian of me, and the only time I've had sex was with my priest. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, somehow fast travelling to a certain location on the map put me into the Dead Kings DLC. Honestly, I thought about just quitting the game here and stopping this series, because Ubisoft had unconsensually entered me into a DLC that I didn't want to play yet. I wasn't ready for this yet, but they were just forcing it upon me, and now it's just completely ruined my first time. Most people dream of losing their DLC virginity under the stars on a special night with someone that you love, and that's how I saw it going as well. But unfortunately, Ubisoft has just made a move before I was prepared. To even quit the DLC and play the main game, you have to complete the first memory of the sequence. So me being extremely underleveled, underprepared, and underage, I was just going to have to take my pounding like a man. I died quite a lot of times because I had to sneak around the guards, as fighting them one-on-one would go worse for me than that time when I called my teacher a dilf. I thought I'd just get detention or suspended for a little while, but he actually just sent me a friend request on Facebook and has DM'd me a picture of his penis every day since. I feel like I should tell someone, but he was such a great history teacher, I wouldn't want to get him fired. After the detox of throwing a kid out the window and watching Marley and Me on Blu-ray so I finally knew what it was like to feel emotion again, I was ready to save the silversmith, who had been taken by the Templars henchmen and held up in a big old mansion. Absolute scenes on the kidnapping. They could have taken him back to the hood, but instead they decided to prop him up in a mansion that probably cost about £500, which back then was a lot of money, but these days that wouldn't even buy you 1/10 of a child on the black market.
First, I need to know about this.
We've no time. I'll tell you all I know once we're away. But we must leave.
The silversmith was locked away in a room and forced to craft whatever the Templars demanded of him. Some would say being captured and forced to do what a leader tells you to is called being kidnapped, whereas others would say it's all a part of the experience of being subscribed to the Voiy channel. Join the cult. We break the silversmith free and Arno takes him round into an alleyway, so he's either about to tell us some important information or we're going to move a satchel of heroin.
I made the first some years ago on a private contract. A man called La Freniere.
Now we knew who the weapon was made for, Arno had a new mission. Track down and find Hermione, or whatever his name was. Arno had heard rumblings that he had been hiding a lot of explosive powder in one of the warehouses nearby, so we went in to investigate, and with any luck, hoping that we could also find some white powder to complement this explosive powder. Obviously I'm talking about flour, because the supermarkets everywhere around here since lockdown have just been completely sold out because it seems like everyone's just taking up baking as a hobby. No Sharon, you're not Mary Berry, that Xbox cake you made for your son Timmy looks like it was made by Michael J. Fox. Arno discovers whereabouts Hermione is hiding out and that he's got something big planned with all these explosives. So what's the 300 IQ play that Arno makes? He decides to destroy all these explosives while he's still in the building. And because he's an assassin, he doesn't just walk out the door when everything starts blowing up and setting on fire. No, he has to go the hard way and make his way to the top of the building, escaping through the roof. Because being an assassin isn't about being smart, it's about doing everything the hard way, maximizing those Chad levels and making sure all the females know you've got the highest testosterone count in the room. Nearly being roasted into a French baguette and with testosterone levels at an all-time high, now was the perfect time for Arno to go after Hermione. After scouring out the area, we're then presented with the guy's name and a picture of him, and he's called La Freniere. So I don't know where I got Hermione from, I thought it kind of sounded like it, but it's not even close. After seeing the picture of him as well, I'm starting to think I should have been calling him by a different nickname. I mean, he's got a big grey beard and he's into explosives. I'm sure I've seen that duo somewhere else before. I really enjoy this assassination because you have to do a little bit of setup beforehand. La Freniere isn't actually around right now, and all I'm doing is disabling the alarm bells and collecting information for the assassination. Kind of like when you're stalking someone and you have to go to their house and set up the hidden cameras beforehand, otherwise if they catch you in the act it might be a big misunderstanding and they could call the police. At the same time though, they could be flattered. If I was to come home to see someone setting up hidden cameras in my toilet, my bathroom and my living room, I'd be like, "Oh, you cheeky little bugger. Caught you in the act, but actually low-key I'm blushing right now, as I had no idea you liked me this much." Arnaud had finished the setup, and La Freniere wasn't going to be around for a few hours, so he decided to wait for him in a haystack, and I became quite worried for my boy at this point, as I don't think he's thought it through. Hay is extremely dense and dry, so being underneath a pile of it for a few hours may cause a serious lack of oxygen to Arnaud's brain, and I'm no expert here, but I imagine being in a coma would make him a pretty ineffective assassin. With Arnaud seeming to be alive a couple hours later when La Freniere arrives, it was time to tackle this assassination, and my first thought was, well, why don't we try and phantom blade him from a short distance? As you can see, this went horribly wrong, and I think the entire French army was after me for a couple of minutes before eventually I got killed by what looks like a ghost. It could have been the angry ghost of La Freniere getting some revenge, but Arnaud has also killed a lot of civilians, especially with the phantom blade, so you never know, it could be one of them. The second time around I went for a much more traditional Assassin's Creed approach, swanton bombing him and spreading my mass over La Freniere just so he knew who the Alpha was when he was assassinated. Upon assassination, looking into La Freniere's memories, we see that he was actually trying to warn Monsieur de la Serre about his possible betrayal. So although we don't know yet what he was planning, La Freniere seemed like he was trying to help Monsieur de la Serre, and Arnaud could have just spoken to him first before assassinating him. This is exactly why you never act on something when you're angry. Take that from me. The last time I acted on something when I was angry, I really ended up regretting it a few days later. It was when my girl bought me a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and I found out that she put the milk in before the cereal. So I just instinctively threw the entire bowl over her face, but looking back at it now, I think the appropriate reaction would have been to end the relationship right there and then.
I suppose the course is clear, Arnaud. Find Monsieur La Freniere.
I have done so already, monsieur. He is no threat. I had a lead on La Freniere. I followed it, and I killed him.
What the hell were you thinking?
How dare you defy the
The next time you circumvent the council, I'll leave you a new arsehole!
Arnaud had defied the creed and assassinated La Freniere without first getting permission. But I've got to say, that was more of an overreaction than there was in the comment section when I made one small joke about Sniper Wolf in a previous Unity video. I said that her content was lifeless, and looking back on it now, I take that back. It's not lifeless. Well, I mean, it's pretty alive compared to her dog. Arnaud found out and had a suspicion that those plans for the explosives were actually for a place called Hotel de Bruyère. So after getting a bollocking from the assassins, he went there to investigate and see what had La Freniere so interested. And upon arrival, we saw none other than Big Hat Boy. Despite looking like one of those adverts that people show to kids as to why they shouldn't do meth, Big Hat Boy clearly had his hands dipped in a lot of business going on in France. So after stalking Big Hat Boy through the hotel, Arnaud then found his way into a basement to spy on him, and it's nice to see this from the other perspective. Usually I see it from the perspective of looking down on my prisoners to the basement, not up from the basement. Big Hat Boy is having a meeting with a few other people, including someone they call the Grand Master, but Arnaud can't get a look at any of their faces, and it turns out that they're actually getting ready to ambush Elise. Obviously this makes Arnaud anxious and angry, because you can murder his father, you can murder his guardian in Monsieur de la Serre, but if you try and take away his pussy, that's where he draws the line. I say his pussy, but I think he's hit that the amount of times that I've hit my girlfriend. 0, because domestic abuse is wrong. So Arnaud, now knowing of the Templars' plans, run off in an effort to find Elise, hoping that maybe saving her life could be the thing that gets him out of the friend zone. I've heard that the friend zone is a difficult place to get out of, but obviously I wouldn't know that as I've never been in it. Not because I'm so good with girls that I've never been in the friend zone, I've just never got past the stranger that masturbates outside of their window zone. Swooping in to save Elise from the trees like a self-defense bumblebee, Arnaud's entrance along with the stench of pre-cum was surely likely to make Elise just at least a little little damp, and that dampness was surely likely to have increased when we were chased into a maze and Arno made the manly decision of hiding behind Elise and letting her deal with the guards. With how empowered women want to be these days, the real alpha move to make if you're getting attacked and you have a girl with you is let her defend herself and you hide behind her. And then we actually come across one of my favourite sequences in the game. You and Elise, once you escape the maze, then have to make your way through the street, but there is a bunch of guards and searchers out for you. So, you use the densely populated streets of Paris and the rooftops to make your way through the guards, assassinating them one by one, until you eventually take them all out and they're no longer a worry.
Go on. I'll distract them. Trust me. Meet me tomorrow at Café Théâtre. I'll explain everything.
You're mad. I'll be there.
I may be a little late.
So Arno's chances of landing one in with Elise may have just gone down slightly because he did tell her what to do. And like I said earlier, real men these days just let their girls make the decisions. But either way, she was still meeting Arno at the cafe, and only good things can come of that. What will Arno's reward be for saving her life? A night of premarital hand-holding, a possible breast touch, or maybe even more than that. If you do want to find out what his reward is, then be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this video, I really do appreciate it. Your support on the Assassin's Creed series and my channel recently has just been insane. We're going to be blasting through this game and making sure that we wrap it up within a couple videos. So if you do want to see those last few videos, be sure to let me know. Leave a like if you did enjoy it, subscribe if you are new around here and don't want to miss any further Assassin's Creed Unity videos, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.